What is our date? June 13th. Thank you. June 13th. Board of Commissioner meeting to order. And I'm going to ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Commissioners Cavell.
Here.
Erickson Galt. Here. Gershenson. Here. Gengel.
Here.
Hoffman.
Present.
Johnson.
Present.
Joliet. Here. Long.
Here.
Lubes.
Here.
Markham. Here. Miller.
Here.
Nelson is excused. Powell.
Here.
Rahman.
Present.
Smith Charles.
Present.
Spiz.
Here.
Taylor. Weipert.
Here.
Woodward.
Here.
Taylor. Last call for Taylor. Okay. Well, Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Hold on one second here. I'm just trying to pull it up on my thing. That's all. The invocation for today's meeting is going to be led by Commissioner Angie Powell. So if everyone could please rise and for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning. Can everyone please bow their heads? This is a prayer for our leaders. Heavenly Father, thank you for the blessing of living in this nation. Today we pray for our leaders across this land, from federal, state, county, local officials. We ask for your wisdom and will to guide them in all they do. Strengthen each leader with resolve to do what is best for their country. Give each leader your wisdom, discernment, and guidance as they lead, and also continue to protect and watch over our families and our communities as well. In Jesus' name I pray, thank you. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the religion which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next up, we have approval of the agenda as presented, moved by Commissioner Lubes, seconded by Commissioner Ann Erickson Galt. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the agenda say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Let the record reflect that the agenda has been approved unanimously. And next on, we'll go on to, I skipped minutes, I'm sorry. See, my agenda up here is backwards. Can we get a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting? Moved by Commissioner Long, seconded by Commissioner Lubes. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the minutes say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say nay. Let the record reflect that the minutes have been adopted unanimously. We have some presentations this evening. And so the first presentation.
Morning.
The what?
Morning. You said evening.
Good morning. Yes, it's habit. I'm looking at it upside down. I'm going to present the first proclamation, and I'm going to come down there for a second. So I'm going to hand it over to our Vice Chair, Marcia Gershenson.
Are you doing?
Oh, you'll do it? Okay. You want to do it? Yeah. Oh, you can. I'm going to kick it off, and then I'll hand it to you. So today we get to honor an incredible career of someone that is one of those individuals that helps make this organization, this county, the greatest county in Michigan, run so effectively. Mr. Guzzi, as many of you all know, has been heading up our purchasing department almost the entire time that I've been involved in the county. For those who don't know, we purchase hundreds of millions of dollars of goods and services on a regular basis to be able to help every department do their job and make things work. And at the helm of a process, of our RFP process, of ensuring that all I's and T's are dotted, to hold firms accountable for the things that we agree to purchase and the price that we agree to purchase them for, is a gentleman that's no stranger to any of us. It's Scott Guzzi. As we celebrate his retirement after years and years of service, we want to take a moment this morning to recognize his service. You've been a great friend to this board. You've helped guide us, guide every one of us individually through the process, all the department heads and anyone who's tasked with administering even the most mundane contract. Scott's been at the helm of doing that. So Scott, why don't you come up here while we recognize a lifetime career here at Oakland County. Let's give a round of applause for Scott. And to kick off it, I'm going to hand it off to Commissioner Joliet.
Thank you and welcome. I've had the pleasure of knowing Scott and his wife for over 15 years, and I can call them friends. So yes, and we want to recognize you today for your 32 years of distinguished service. I want to invite anybody else that wants, I know the Finance Committee, Commissioner Markham's up here, that would like to speak or talk with the proclamation. All right, I'll start it off. Whereas Oakland County owes a great deal to those that dedicate their professional careers to public service, such as Scott Guzzi. Whereas Scott's distinguished 32-year career with the county began in 1992, when he joined the Inspection and Soil Erosion Department. 5 years later, he moved to purchasing as a buyer, and within a decade was promoted to chief. In 2012, he was named as the county's purchasing administrator and has led the division and its staff since. Scott has dutifully upheld purchasing's mission of providing equal opportunity to the vendor community while acquiring products and services in excess of $100 million annually. At the best value for all county departments through an efficient procurement process, maximizing value for residents and vendors alike. And,
excuse me. Whereas thanks to Scott's expertise in improving internal efficiencies, Oakland County Purchasing has successfully coordinated several large-scale projects, including the procurement of multiple law enforcement radio and major financial systems. Scott also created America Saves, a program that extends favorable purchasing terms negotiated by Oakland County to cities, villages, and townships. Recently, he oversaw Purchasing's Diverse Connections 2024 event, which was designed to expand the pool of qualified suppliers. It attracted more than 150 companies and helped ensure minority, women, and veteran-owned businesses have an equitable chance at securing county contracts. And
whereas Scott is highly credentialed, having earned the Certified Professional Public Buyer, the CPPB, and Certified Public Procurement Officer designations from the Universal Public Procurement Certification Council. That's a mouthful. He was a committee member of the National Institute of Government Purchasing. He has served on the board and is president of the Michigan Public Procurement Officers Association. Scott is also a past recipient of MPPOA's prestigious Marvin Klang Award and was recognized by the organization as Manager of the Year in 2013. Further, the Purchasing Division has received many honors during his tenure, including 2 NACO Achievement Awards, the MPPOA Purchasing Agency of the Year, and the NIGP Outstanding Agency Accreditation Achievement Award. And, Dave?
go ahead.
Second from last.
And whereas on the special occasion on his retirement, we join the Oakland County Purchasing staff and Scott's colleagues and family to wish him the very best and thank him for his more than 3 decades of employment. And now therefore be it resolved that David T. Woodward, myself, the chair of the Oakland County Board of Commissioners, and Commissioners Karen Joliet and Gwen Markham, and the entire Oakland County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim special commendation to Scott Guzzi. We hope your retirement is filled with health, relaxation, and well-being. Congratulations. The mic is yours.
I'll keep it short and sweet. I'm glad my staff could make it today. You know, it's all about the employees around you. They've really helped. And I thank all of you for the support. You know, the government can be tricky, and you guys have always supported us and the team, and I appreciate that. It's been a great trip.
Thank you.
We need pictures.
Okay, let's get back.
You want Tammy to come up?
Let's get in front. Come on, Scott, why don't you get in front? Let's do. How do you like this? Yeah. You stand right here. You stand right now. I'm good. All right. Okay. And can we get the staff to come up here? Let's get the staff to come in here and get a photo. That's right. We're going to bring the staff up for a photo. No, this guy's staying here.
Sure.
Again, thank you, Scott, for your years of service. I don't know what we're going to do. I got to tell one more of the Scott story. One of my favorite stories. We purchased something. It wasn't up to snuff. Some of us were very frustrated. Scott says, yeah, we're not paying. And that's the type of leadership you want at the helm of a purchasing department, and got it resolved. So we're going to miss you. Don't be a stranger. And thanks for everything you've done for us all these years.
Can I just make one
Yes,
comment?
Commissioner Markham.
I just want to say that Scott is one of those people that if he wasn't doing his job well, we'd be hearing about it all the time. And he does it so well that I don't think he gets the recognition he deserved. And I'm really glad we could commend him, but I also want to say he's always done a really great job as long as I've been here. So thank you.
Great. Thank you. And I'm sure that every commissioner could share their stories and appreciation, and I mean, I'll open the floor for anything else, but Scott, know that you're loved. We're gonna miss you, and we look forward to seeing you around these in different capacities. Okay. All right, great, thanks. Next up, I'm going to call on our Oakland County Commissioners who serve on the Parks and Rec Board. So Commissioners Yolanda Smith-Charles, Commissioner Chris Long, Commissioner Ann Erickson Galt, to lead us in the next proclamation.
Thank you. Good morning. Today we're going to be honoring Parks and Recreation Month, which is in July. So I have a proclamation for that. So whereas parks and recreation agencies across the country, including Oakland County, foster a sense of belonging by providing welcoming and inclusive programs, services for all ages and abilities, and safe, accessible spaces, and build meaningful connections. And whereas since 1966, the Oakland County Parks and Recreation Commission has provided quality recreation experience in outdoor areas that support healthy lifestyles, promote the protection of natural resources, and enhance the quality of life throughout Oakland County. And that one.
Whereas Oakland County Parks plays a vital role in the protection of our environment through green infrastructure, maintenance of public lands, and preserving wildlife habitats. The 15-park system encompasses more than 7,000 acres, offering nearly limitless options for year-round recreation, ranging from camping, hiking, water sports, golfing, and BMX tracks, to cross-country skiing, sledding, and off-road vehicles, routes, and trails. This includes a wave pool, water park, and 3 dog parks. The system welcomed nearly 2 million visitors in 2023 and is currently expanding with 2 additional parks in Southfield and Oak Park, fulfilling the Commission's objective of making parklands accessible to those living in all areas of the county. And, thank you.
Whereas parks, playgrounds, trails, beaches, nature centers, and green spaces make Oakland County communities desirable places to live, work, play, and visit, these assets contribute significantly to the county's economic health and resiliency. And whereas since 1985, Park and Recreation Month in July has provided an opportunity to promote building strong, vibrant, resilient communities through parks and recreation, and to recognize the employees and volunteers that provide exceptional programming and maintain our beautiful parks. Now, therefore, David T. Woodward, Chair of the Oakland County Board of Commissioners, Commissioners Christine Long, Yolanda Smith-Charles, and Ann Erickson Galt, and the entire Oakland County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim July as Park and Recreation Month in Oakland County. We encourage residents and visitors to explore all of what Oakland County Parks offers and extends our gratitude to Oakland County Parks and Recreation Commission for its innovation and informed leadership.
And introduce them.
Yeah, you're again, what's your title? Parks Director. Chris Ward, the amazing, extraordinary parks mind behind all of these things. We would love to hear from you if you have a couple of comments.
Sure. Well, thank you, commissioners, for honoring Oakland County Parks and Rec and all of the Parks and Recreation professionals in the county. You know, I was appointed to this job 2.5 years ago, and I got settled into my office there, and the first call that came in for the director, I was all excited, you know, this was gonna be a big deal. And it was somebody wanting me to take care of the frozen porta potties at Orion Oaks. So the sitcom really is kind of true to life for the Parks and Rec world. And I want to echo what Scott Guzzi said. Everything that we do is totally dependent upon and owing to the tremendous professionals that work in Oakland County government at all levels. And it's especially true at Oakland County Parks and Rec. We've used the slogan, great parks for great people, for many years, but I've quickly learned that it takes great people to make great parks possible. And I'm just very fortunate to have an abundance of tremendous people that work for us there. I call them my MacGyvers because they always find a way. They always find a way to solve problems and do incredible things. If I tell them we want to take over a park in Pontiac in 1 week, they find out a way to do it. Organize swim lessons for kids, in any number of issues that come up any day. So I also want to thank all of you as elected officials who support public recreation, conservation, good stewardship of our natural environment. We couldn't do what we do without your support. Very grateful for the financial support through the rescue plan. In the last few weeks, we've had an opportunity to start to celebrate some of the wins in tangible form. A new playground in Hazel Park, a new playground in Royal Oak Township, and our commissioners were there. And just incredibly meaningful for those communities. It's really nice to see those dollars at work. And a week from Saturday, if you can make it out to Lion Oaks, we'll be opening a new universally accessible playground and pickleball, and much more to come. So again, I want to say thank you to all of you. And of course, I want to say thank you to the Oakland County voters because they pay my salary. So thank you.
And looking forward to spending a lot of quality time in the numerous Oakland County park facilities all across this county this summer. And encourage everyone to go to the Oakland County Parks website and see all the wonderful programming that's happening on all season long. Next up is communications, and so I will call on the clerk to see if there are any communications.
None today.
There's no communications today. That will move us to the first public comment of this morning's meeting. This is opportunity for members of the public to comment on items on the agenda. We have a second public comment towards the end of the meeting to speak on any other topic, but if there's anything on the consent or regular agenda that members of the public came out to speak, we create this space in the meeting to allow for that. No one signed up, but if anyone did, if you want to raise your hand, there's a microphone, and we ask people to keep their comments to three minutes. Anyone come for public comment? Seeing none, I will close the first public comment, and like I said, there will be another public comment at the end of the meeting. This will move us to reports of standing committees. First up is our consent agenda. So is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda? Moved by Commissioner Taylor, seconded by Commissioner Weipert. Any discussion on any of the items, and most of the items on today's meeting is on the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please prompt the vote on the consent agenda. I see, I see everyone's joined the meeting. Why don't we just roll call? So if you voted, you're going to vote again.
All right, I'm just going to call roll because clearly there's an issue with the program. Again, Commissioners Erickson Galt,
Yes.
Gershenson,
Yes.
Gingell, Hoffman,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Joliet,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Lubes,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Powell, Rahman,
Yes.
Smith Charles,
Yes.
Spiz,
Yes.
Taylor, did I see Taylor?
Yes.
Okay, good. Weipert,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Cavell.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 18 yeas, 0 nays.
A sufficient number voting in the affirmative. The consent agenda is adopted. This will move us onto a regular agenda, and I will call on the Chair of the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee, Brendan Johnson, to present the items from the committee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and it's not loading. Bum, 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 bum. Does anyone have the item open? Yes, actually, thank you.
Yeah, just read it. Do you need it? It doesn't have the name of it? Got it. Hold, please.
Easier when we went on paper.
Will it open? I think it's the one. Well, right. I mean, this one's the first one. Yeah, it's the next one. Shame on me. I have nothing.
I have a 502. You have a what? 502.
Yeah.
Commissioner.
Oh, bless you. Bless you. All right, let's do this old school. Just going to say huge thanks to Pam and everyone else in the staff. Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Brenda Johnson.
I have 2 items today on the report from the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee. The first item, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Kalfini Stevens as the city official to the Oakland County Land Bank Authority for a 3-year term beginning August 18th, 2024, and expiring August 17th, 2027.
Moved by Commissioner Johnson, seconded by Commissioner Powell. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Oh, wait, are we ready? No. Is it back? If not, why don't we just roll call it? Back up.
Okay. Where am I at? Commissioner Gershenson?
Here. I mean, yes. Sorry.
It's okay. I know you're not used to it. Gingell?
Yes.
Hoffman?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Joliet?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Lubes?
Yes.
Markham?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Rahman?
Yes.
Smith Charles?
Yes.
Spiz?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Whitebird?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Cavell? Yes. Erickson Galt? Yes. Mr. Chair, you have 18 yeas, 0 nays.
Sufficient number voting in the affirmative. The appointment is confirmed. Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I'd like to make the following motion that the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee recommends the following board action to appoint the following members to the new Materials Management Planning Committee for a 5-year term beginning June 13th, 2024 through June 12th, 2029 as follows. Robert Hoffman as county elected official, Larry Gray as township elected official, Rachel Barlock as SEMCOG representative, Mike Sappo as material recovery facility operator, Danielle Todd as waste diversion, reuse, or reduction facility operator, Amanda Herzog as city or village elected official, Rachel Grebus as operator of a business that generates a managed material, Julia Johnson as environmental interest group representative, Skylar Butza as solid waste disposal facility operator, Bernard Gill as waste hauler, and Bill Whiteley as composting or anaerobic digester facility operator.
Moved by Johnson, seconded by Commissioner Taylor. Any discussion on these appointments? Commissioner Johnson.
I'd just like to say thank you to the LAGO committee members for all of the weeks and weeks of interviews that we went through, and to the general public. I know that that was a lot of names, but I want you to know that we had a beautiful challenge of having way too many qualified applicants, and it was a difficult experience for us to weed out those people who would have been also very qualified, and we would have loved to have on the group too. So this is a really solid group, and I'm looking forward to the work that they can do for Oakland County, and in partnership with our sisters in Washtenaw, Wayne, Macomb, Livingston, and Genesee.
Great, thank you very much. I think I'm going to try this one more time. If everyone can refresh their agendas. Is it working? It's not letting you refresh? Yeah, we think there might be a Wi-Fi issue that's impeding this. Okay, so we're not going to refresh. We have a motion made and seconded. Madam Clerk, please call the roll on confirmation of the Materials Management Planning Committee appointments.
Okay. Commissioners Gingell?
Yes.
Hoffman?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Joliet?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Lubes?
Yes.
Markham?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Rahman?
Yes.
Smith Charles?
Yes.
Spiz?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Whitebird?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Cavell?
Yes.
Erickson Galt?
Yes.
Gershenson?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 18 yeas, 0 nays.
Sufficient number voting in the affirmative. The appointments are confirmed. Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. That concludes the report of the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee.
Thank you very much. Next up, we will have the Chair of the Public Health and Safety Committee, Commissioner Penny Lubes, present the next item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move to approve the appointment of Richard Stranger, attorney at law, to act as a magistrate for the 52nd District Court.
Moved by Commissioner Loeb, seconded by Commissioner, who is the Clarkson Court? Commissioner Gingell, technically, yes. Okay, seconded by Commissioner Gingell, and this is for the District Court located in Clarkston. Any discussion? See none, Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Commissioners Hoffman?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Joliet?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Lubes?
Yes.
Markham?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Rahman?
Yes.
Smith Charles? Spiz?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Weipert?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Cavell?
Yes.
Erickson Galt?
Yes.
Gershenson?
Yes.
Gingell?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 18 yeas, 0 nays.
A sufficient number voting in the affirmative. The confirmation is confirmed. The appointment is confirmed. Commissioner Loobs.
There's no further business from the Public Health and Safety Committee today.
Great, thank you very much. All the other items for finance and economic development were taken up on the consent agenda, and so that concludes our regular agenda business. And now we're going to move back to a presentation, and I see that we've been joined by our Chief Judge of the Oakland County Circuit Court, Judge Mattis, no stranger, a former commissioner. It's always good to see a former commissioner wear the top black robe at the court to come give us a State of the Circuit Court address. Welcome, and we accommodated his schedule because of our morning meeting. He had other things in the morning, and I'm glad that you're able to join us.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Your Honor.
My apologies for turning my back to you. But, the layout requires it. Good morning, everybody. As was said, can everybody hear me all right? As was said, I spent a lot of time in this room back when I was a county commissioner. Some of you were colleagues of mine then, so it's always a pleasure to see my old friends, and there's a lot of new faces. So welcome to all of you who are new to the commission since I left. But I enjoyed my time here very much, and it's important work that you do. So we very much appreciate it. Thank you for taking some time, or allowing me some time this morning. I would be remiss if I didn't note that I think there's a birthday in your midst today. I think today may be someone's birthday. So happy birthday, Commissioner Joliet. Happy birthday to you. Okay, I'll stop there. Okay. All right. Without further ado, again, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jeff Mattis, and I am privileged and honored to serve as the Chief Judge of the Oakland County Circuit Court. And I feel that one of my duties is from time to time to come to visit with you, to answer questions you may have, provide you with information, and just give you an update on the court. Obviously, we have long had a fantastic working relationship with both the executive's office as well as the commissioners. You approve our budget, and certainly for those of you on finance, you'll see me at the appropriate time coming down and meeting with you and answering questions and getting you information so at the end of the day you can do your role and obviously vote as you think you should and hopefully approve our budget, and we'll help with that process. So without further ado, I did bring a PowerPoint with me. I'm not a techie person, so hopefully this will work. All right, excellent. So just to give you some quick background on our court, I know some of you may be familiar with the court, others may not, so bear with me a moment. Our court is one of 57 circuit courts throughout the state of Michigan. We obviously hold broad powers. There's a lot that our court does. We have 20 elected circuit court judges, and we have 8 juvenile referees and 19 friend of the court referees that handle a wide variety of cases. Our court is broken down among the 20 judges. We have 2 in our business court division who handle, just as they sound, business court cases. They also handle adult criminal cases. We currently have 7 family court judges who handle a variety of family court matters. Divorces, custody, paternity, juvenile delinquency matters, criminal matters involving juveniles, parental abuse, neglect cases, adoptions, name changes. Then we have the remainder of the judges are in our civil criminal division handling civil cases, any variety of civil case, as well as adult criminal cases. Obviously, we handle everything from, generally we handle felonies. The district courts in your local communities handle the misdemeanor cases. We handle the felony cases. Sometimes a misdemeanor if it's tied to a felony, but there has to be a felony to get to us. And that can be everything from a minor, relatively minor, a theft matter where the amount of the item that was stolen is of a sufficient amount that it constitutes a felony, all the way up to first-degree murder, where the person potentially is facing life in prison with no parole. So a wide variety of many cases that we handle. We also serve as an appellate court for the district courts. If someone has a district court case and they have an issue and they're not happy with the way a matter proceeded or a ruling that was made, they have the ability to appeal, and it comes to us. So we act as an appellate court over the district court rulings. So that's just a general sort of overview of the cases we handle. Give you some idea of the volume of cases. So juvenile cases, when we say pending adjudication, what that means is there has been no plea, there's been no trial yet. Those are active cases pending some adjudication one way or another. And as you can see over time, the numbers have gone up. Obviously going back to 2018, 291 cases, 281 in 2020. Obviously COVID created a serious challenge for us. We were ordered not to bring jurors into the building for a period of time out of safety concerns, which we followed. But as a result, there was a backlog because some cases settle and resolve and some do not. And the ones that didn't, obviously we could not have trials because we couldn't bring jurors in for a period of time there, a significant amount of time. But once we have been very, very active and aggressive trying to move our COVID backlog. But nevertheless, as you see, juvenile cases has gone up. As of 2023, the most recent full year we have data, 751. If you compare that to past years going back to 18, 19, before COVID, it's a big increase. So we've got a significant increase in our juvenile workload. Personal protection orders, there's different types of PPOs. We call them PPOs. It's everything from, two neighbors don't get along and it's a dispute of some sort, a non-domestic type situation, to a serious, someone is stalking, harassing, threatening somebody, and there's real serious concerns about people's safety. Someone can come in, request a PPO, then there can be a hearing, there can be a request to terminate it. There's many different things that can happen, but if you look at, again, the volume of PPOs from 2021, 1496 to 2020, now over 2,000, 2023. So those have increased as well. Civil criminal, new filings. Again, this is our civil criminal. Civil can be anything. It could be car accidents, a lawsuit where someone is suing, claiming injuries and damages due to the negligence of someone else, and they're asking to be compensated, an award of damages by the jury. Could be someone is terminated and they're claiming wrongful termination. Could be a property dispute between two people who may live on a lake in Oakland County and they have disputes about their property issues. So civil can be any number of things. Criminal, as I've already touched on, can be a wide variety. Some are relatively lesser in terms of significance. Some can be very, very serious and significant. Civil criminal filings, as you see, have also gone up, 18,340 2023 versus 17,000 and some in 2021. So pretty much across the board, the cases have gone up. High-profile cases. From time to time, we do get high-profile media cases. Probably the best unfortunate example I can give you recently is the Oxford shooting case. From that horrible tragedy, we had to handle the case involving the shooter himself, his parents, and we have civil cases now that are also pending that have come from that. Obviously, very high-profile cases require a serious extra involvement of staff, overtime, extra technology. I was on vacation actually in Florida when Judge Matthews was trying, I believe, the mother's case in that Oxford case. And I happened to be down in a place in Florida, and they had a TV on CNN, and they were showing the trial live on CNN while it was happening. And so obviously technology, having appropriate technology for us to broadcast those types of high-profile events and to have appropriate resources. You have to bring in more jurors when you have a case like that, because obviously at the end of the day, you want to make sure you have an appropriate jury. And when it's a high-profile media case, there's additional concerns about that, to making sure that you get an appropriate jury, that you can seat the appropriate jury. So you have to bring in more people. There's more cost. Obviously, we pay the people to come. People are entitled to be compensated for jury duty. And when you have a lot more people, there's cost there. And then just a number of other things. So we do, from time to time, have high-profile cases. Judge Grant just tried one that was in the news. I think she did the sentencing perhaps yesterday. The jeweler who was shot in Oak Park. And that was all over the news as well. So it is unfortunately not uncommon that we get high-profile cases like that, and it does put a higher responsibility and burden on us in terms of resources. Settlement week. So one of the things that we did, and I was proud to be a part of that, was we had this COVID backlog. We had a bunch of cases that kind of built up because we couldn't try cases. And then when we sort of turned the faucet back on again and started moving forward, we partnered with the Oakland County Bar Association, and we got a grant that was funded by SCAO. SCAO is the State Court Administrator's Office, sort of the administrative arm of the Michigan Supreme Court. That's who we work with. And we brought in lawyers to work as mediators and met with parties. We focused on the civil cases and family cases because then we as judges could try our criminal cases and focus on those while the settlement week focused on the other cases. And we resolved a lot of cases. We had some, and these were the oldest cases. We had over 400 civil, about 200 family, and we resolved approximately 200 of them. And I'll say that the other thing it did was it got the discussion going, and then even cases that didn't settle at that juncture have since settled because they've been talking and things were said and done through the mediation process with the attorneys that led to an ultimate settlement. So it was very successful, and we worked closely with the Oakland County Bar on that program. So what are we working on now? One, case management system. That's something with, obviously, Chairman Woodward has been involved with us. I appreciate his help. We've worked with Executive Coulter, with Clerk Brown. We have a case management system that we use, that all of our staff uses, and it's an important software tool to help us, handle our cases. And there's tons of information in it that is just crucial for us to operate. Our current system is older than the hills. I've been told it's over 50 years old. And I think it was in existence before Bill Gates, learned about computers. And you look at this, it's old. So the point is we're on sort of an end of life track on this. And so we have to do something. We've been working on it, and I'll go to the next slide on that. But we need to do something. So there was some discussion about, do we have our own internal system? Do we come up with our own new system, or do we go to a state system? The Supreme Court has a plan someday of having a statewide case management system, so all courts would be tied into it. And I think in some ways that would be very, very helpful, because as a judge, sometimes I may have a case involving a person, could be civil, could be criminal, and maybe they had another case pending in another court somewhere, and it would be helpful for me to know some information about that other case. And right now, it's not easy to get that. You have to request it ahead of time. There can be delays, adjournments, getting information. But if the statewide system someday becomes a reality, you can instantaneously get information that could help. So there's a real benefit to that. So right now, there's a collaboration with the county clerk, with the county executive's office, the Board of Commissioners, and the state of Michigan right now to move forward with this state plan. We're in the process of creating a memorandum of understanding, an MOU, and we're optimistic. But we do need to move forward with it, and there definitely are some deadlines we have to hit moving forward for this to be successful. And that is part of the agreement, and the discussion we've had is we've got to, this is because we're on an end-of-life track on our current system, so we have to have something, because we simply could not function without an operable case management system. Okay, so ERPOs, extreme risk protection orders. I'm sure you've heard about that. That's been the subject of a lot of discussion recently. These are obviously, some call them the red flag laws. And what it does is it creates a mechanism for someone to request the court to order a temporary removal of firearms from someone who's deemed to be dangerous to themselves or others. There was some question how many of these we were going to get. Was it going to be a mountain of them or just a small amount? It's still early because this didn't go into effect until just February of this year. But as of right now, I'm told we've had 37 of them filed, and over 90% have been initiated by law enforcement. So, some by other individuals, but generally law enforcement is clearly the majority of them being requested. This does create an extra responsibility for us because you can get them in the middle of the night. So judges have to be available to conduct an immediate, over-the-phone hearing regarding the request for an ERPO, the possible immediate emergency issuance. So obviously that's something new that didn't exist before that we are handling, but obviously it has created an extra responsibility for us in terms of handling these, potentially having hearings, and also an ability on weekends, evenings to handle them upon request, which we are doing. Court record security, obviously it's important that we deal with a lot of confidential information, especially dealing with juveniles. We have just a lot of information that is not supposed to be public about kids, about families, sensitive personal information, birth dates, social security numbers, lots of income information. And so we're in the process of taking steps to just better protect our records and to make sure hopefully we don't have a hack and a data breach that releases information that shouldn't be released by law. So we're working on that. There's been some juvenile justice reform initiatives have come out of Lansing that have dealt with home placement issues. There's just a whole host of issues that have come that have, again, created responsibilities for us and things that we need to do. Every time a law is passed in Lansing that impacts the courts, that's something obviously we have to follow, and we do, but sometimes it can obviously create extra responsibilities. And courtroom technology, obviously we're updating the courtrooms. A lot of the in-courtroom video systems we have are a little bit older. I know at least one or two of you approached me when the Oxford case was occurring. I think Commissioner Spiz was one, I remember, about wanting to see a little bit better technology, whether it's high def or something in terms of just televised or video proceedings, and the public and the world seeing that and just having better quality. So we are working on that. Obviously, we're going courtroom by courtroom, and certainly there's a cost there, but we think that is important, and I agree. We've got to make sure that things are appropriately recorded. There's a record we have to make by law, but that it be done in a way that obviously is appropriate in terms of the technology that's being used. Set-asides, as some of you may have heard, there was some law that was passed not long ago dealing with automatic set-asides. So someone's been convicted of an offense, and then some time has gone by, and under the law, depending on the offense, some of those convictions are automatically set aside. They just automatically occur. Other times, people can file a motion and request the judge who presided over it or his or her successor to request a set-aside, and that's a case-by-case basis. But as far as the auto set-asides, just to give you an idea of the volume, the adult auto set-asides went into effect in April 2023. Over 30,700 charges have been automatically set aside by law. And that's not something a court ordered. That was the law that was passed, and that just automatically went into effect. Juvenile auto set-asides went into effect December 2023. Over 50,000 charges have been automatically set aside. So when that happens, that does create some, obviously, administrative responsibilities for the court, for the clerk's office, and there's things that we have to do as a result of that, but that gives you an idea of the volume. That's a lot. There's a lot of convictions that have been set aside, and that's something that, obviously that we deal with. So what's coming up down the road? New case decisions. Obviously, at any given time, a case could come down from the Supreme Court, from the Court of Appeals, and we have to follow that, and that can change things for us. Sometimes they'll say, well, you need to have a hearing. You can't just rule anymore from briefs. You've got to bring all the parties in and have a hearing and put witnesses under oath and make a ruling based on a record that's made at the hearing. And obviously that is more time. The other thing is judicial time study. So from time to time, the Michigan Supreme Court does a study on all the courts in Michigan, gets a lot of data and a lot of information, and then ultimately decides how many judges and court officers are needed based on the caseload and everything that we have. And the Supreme Court is they're in the beginning stages of commencing that study. And so it's probably not going to come down the road for another year or so, but at some point they will make a recommendation on whether we have enough judges or not. And certainly that's something, when that happens, I'll make sure you know what they say and why, and they give reasons and all that. So that is something that from time to time does happen. Docket changes and position requests. So let's see, just quickly to touch on that. Time study I did. Docket changes. So one of our judges is retiring at the end of the year, Judge Phyllis McMillan. If any of you know Judge McMillan from the Waterford area. Long-standing member of our bench. She's going to be a huge loss. She is been one of our sort of pioneers with our treatment court programs, which have been a real passion of hers. And she's just incredible institutional knowledge, and it's going to be a huge loss. So unfortunately, she has hit an age in the law for us, just so everyone knows, this is by the Constitution, when a judge hits 70, you can't run again for re-election. You finish the term you're in, but you can't run again. So she has hit that point where she can't run again. Her term is ending at the end of the year. She's chosen to serve to the end, so she will serve the rest of this year. But when the end of the year comes, unfortunately, she will leave our bench. So there was some discussion internally in our court about how to handle that. Obviously, there's an election, there's people running, and whoever wins that election will join our bench. But there was some discussion that the family court needed help, and the family division. So we ultimately looked at all the information. We made a decision to move a seat, Judge McMillan's seat, to the family division. So whoever gets elected will be a family judge, and the family division will get an extra seat. And that was based on data and information that we looked at. And I will say, ultimately, even though technically I'm chief and I could do that myself, I felt that the whole entire bench should be part of that process. And we actually put it to a vote, and it was a unanimous vote of the entire bench, which I was proud of the fact that the bench agreed, and obviously I supported it and felt it was the right decision. But that, just so you know, that's what's going to happen. And position requests, obviously, the other thing I just want to make sure that you know is, from time to time, like any big organization, we do have people retire, we have people leave. Every time a position opens, we look at that position. We don't just automatically fill it, and we make a determination. Do we really need to fill that position? Oftentimes, yes, we do, but sometimes we don't, or maybe it could be a part-time position. We recognize, and as chief, I recognize that we are stewards, if you will, of the taxpayer dollars. And it's important that we remember that. It's important that we respect that and make fiscally responsible decisions. So I just want to let you know that that is something that we are looking at, and we always consider. So with all of that said, I know you have other things to do. I'm sorry if I went beyond your allotted time, but for those of you who know me, you know I'm not good at shutting up, so I apologize right now. But with that said, I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for the opportunity to come here and give a presentation, hopefully give you some information. And I want to make sure you also know that at any point, whether it's day to day, whether it's during the budget process, if you have questions, if there's anything you want to know about our court, just reach out to me. I'll make sure you get the answer, and I'll get you whatever information you need. So if you have questions, I'm happy to answer it. Otherwise, thank you very much.
We've got time for a few questions, so I'll call on Commissioner Smith-Charles first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is actually more of a comment, but I do want to say it was just a couple of weeks ago. I thought no one was around, and I had my dog in here. and we were getting water for her, and this door opens, and who is it but our Honorable Chief Judge, Judge Mattis. And while I was like, oh no, what am I gonna do? You were super cool, and you took time and spent with my little Bella. So I just want to say that went a long way in our household, and that's it. That's the comment, folks.
Thank you. Thank you. I enjoyed that as well, by the way. That was a lot of fun.
Speaking from experience, I welcome you in this house and prefer not seeing you in your chambers.
I get that a lot from people. They hope they never.
Always welcome. Always welcome. Commissioner Powell.
This is, it could be an offline, and if it is, but my question was, have we ever here explored or thought of having it's called an ombudsman, I think, or something like that? And the reason why I bring it up, it was a discussion at a conference I just came from. So if it's more time to talk about, I'm fine, but I just want to put it on your radar as a question that I do have.
Yeah, no,
I'm trying to understand that space too, right? So.
Yeah, I can answer that. So my understanding is years ago, there was someone who filled that sort of a role through the Oakland County Bar Association, typically an attorney who could interact with the court if there were issues or even concerns of any kind, that person could sort of be the liaison, if you will, to the court, would meet with the chief or whichever judge was appropriate. And yes, I've thought about bringing that back. And so absolutely, I think that the answer is yes, and I'm certainly looking into that. I'm open to that.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you. That's a very good idea, and I had thought of that, and I'm not sure years ago why that stopped, but it is something we should bring back, so yes.
Yeah, because a lot of Wayne County leadership, that's where we got the discussion.
Yep.
And I think it was the state of Alabama. They have some stuff like
Okay.
that. So, thank you.
But yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you very much. Hello.
Hello.
I'm a data-driven millennial, and I like charts. So when I was looking at all of it, I am. So all of the charts, surely we have more data than just the last 3 or 4 years.
Oh, absolutely.
So I guess I'm curious, looking at the data I would have been able to establish, but is there kind of a baseline number of cases for all of those different categories? And then we've got obviously the COVID spike, but as we're trying to hammer through that, assuming that there's a baseline and that it hasn't been on a general slope, when do we estimate we can be back to pre-COVID baseline levels?
So I guess the question is I'm not sure how far back you're referring to. And certainly, yes, there's data, and I can get you whatever you want. We felt in putting this together, the COVID years, if you will, really was an unusual situation for us in a lot of different ways, with case filings and handling cases and not being able to have trials for a while. So I didn't want to just give you that period of time. So we went a little before COVID to try to give you a general sense of sort of where were things before COVID hit. And then, of course, understanding we got COVID, and then since then, where are we now? But as far as going back further than the data I gave, we can do that. I know there were ups and downs at various times with that. But as far as specifics go, I'm happy to get you whatever you'd like.
Well, and I don't even need it. I guess I'm just kind of curious, or maybe there is a slope of we increased at about 100 cases in this category per year, but then in COVID we added 1,000 net cases.
Yeah.
When do we expect to get you all back to that pre-COVID slope?
Well, I think what the data shows right now is we're on an upward trajectory in terms of the number of cases that we're seeing.
Okay.
Now, there's thoughts about that. Some people say, well, during COVID, people sort of like in the civil world, lawsuits have a statute of limitations. An event occurs that gives rise to a case, you don't have to run and sue immediately. You've got a period of time. And that there's a thinking that perhaps cases that came to fruition, if you will, during COVID, people held off on filing, and that's what we're seeing now, is the filing of cases that may have occurred during COVID, but for COVID. So there's some question, are we going to continue to see this upward trajectory, or maybe to your point, is it going to kind of level off a little? It's still perhaps a little too early to answer that, but I think we will, going forward, be able to see, is this sort of a larger increase, or are we kind of, are we going to level off or plateau at some point, or even go down? But right now, we're not seeing it. We're seeing, as the numbers showed, an increase. And pretty much across the board. That's why I wanted to give you a sense, not just like total cases. We broke it down, civil, criminal, family, to kind of show the different types of cases. And, obviously they are going up. Right. As of now.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Are there any other questions for Judge Mattis? I had just like two quick ones.
Yes.
Is there a dedicated judge to the on-call ERPO? I mean, when they come, because they come at the moment, then you think, so is it you?
It is not me, because, I mean, the bottom line is the family division handles those.
Okay.
So that's the way that legislation came down, the family division.
Got it.
And so our family judges met and discussed it. Judge Langton is presiding judge of the family division, and they decided internally that they would handle them themselves because they felt that was appropriate. So they rotate amongst themselves who's available.
Who's available. So they map out the schedule, and that's who you call.
Yes. So it's a different person, and they have given information out to law enforcement and people in terms of who is the contact person, so that any law enforcement person, or the court administration, whoever would need to be contacted, knows which judge to go to, and that there's a system there.
Excellent.
They've set all that up.
Perfect.
But it rotates among our family. And that, candidly, was one of the considerations that went into adding an extra family judge, was that as well as other increased responsibilities.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, my other question was around I think the success of mediation to try to address the backlog, get the cases resolved without having to go through more complicated judicial proceedings.
Yep.
Is that a practice that's ongoing? I mean,
Yeah.
It seems like that's an efficient way and a more cost-effective way, not just for us, but for the plaintiffs and defendants in those cases.
Absolutely. It's something that had been done a long time ago. Our former court administrator, Kevin Offner, was familiar with it because he had been here a long time. It predated me being a judge, but they did it a long time ago. It was very successful. But for some reason, it wasn't repeated, and then COVID made us think, we have this backlog, what are we going to do? And then the issue came up, hey, years ago, we did this settlement, weeks type situation, and it was successful. So that kind of led to that. We requested a grant from SCAO. They approved it. They gave us some funding for it. We were then able to bring in the lawyers and worked with the County Bar Association, and it all kind of went from there. But yes, we view it was, I mean, certainly not every case settled, but a lot did. Right. And it got discussions going that led to more settlements after. And we are going to continue it because it was I heard very positive feedback. Like you said, if you don't settle, then obviously you have to go through trial. There's cost, there's time there. And uncertainty, what the outcome is going to be. But the settlement, if two parties can walk away with a settlement they can both live with, that's in a little more time fashion, then certainly that's preferred in virtually every case. So, but yes, to answer your question, we're going to continue.
Sounds great. Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you very much. Last time, let's call for commissioner questions. Seeing none, Judge, thank you very much. Thanks for coming and updating us.
Thank you, everybody.
And
have a great day, everybody.
We look forward to seeing you. I can see in the list, without mentioning the money, we'll see you in the budget hearings.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
I could have asked about 5 questions, but just decided not.
It's coming. I assure you. All right. So I have this presentation that we moved to the end to accommodate the judge's schedule. We'll move on to new and miscellaneous business, and I will call on Commissioner Cavell.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to introduce and have referred to LAGO Committee a resolution to establish the Oakland County Student Debt Relief Initiative.
Okay, great. We're going to refer that to LAGO and Finance without objection. I think that's the only item under new and miscellaneous business. So that will move us to announcements. Are there any announcements for the group? Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is just my little soapbox time. I would just like to remind everyone that Friday is Flag Day, and as an avid vexillologist, I just want to remind everyone to pay attention to their flags. Flags are really cool. They've been around for several hundred and some places 1,000 years. And they tell us a lot about who we are and what we believe in ourselves and the story that we're trying to tell ourselves and other people. So take a look at your flags and just remind yourselves of the story. Hard pivot. As the only queer member of the Oakland County Board, I feel like it's my delightful duty to remind everyone to just be kind to your queer neighbors. Remind them that they're welcome to live in Oakland County and that they have a place here. Thanks.
Happy Pride. Great. Thank you. Any other announcements? Commissioner Ann Anderson Galt.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to make sure everyone knows that this Saturday, June 15th, is Madison Heights' 4th annual Juneteenth celebration. The public is welcome. It begins at around noon at Civic Center Park in Madison Heights, and it's posing to be just an absolutely wonderful event, and I certainly hope that everybody has a chance to attend.
Great, thank you very much. We also had a great Oakland County celebration. I wasn't able to be there, but I know that a number of our colleagues, Commissioners Powell, Taylor, and Smith-Charles, was on hand to be part of the celebration as a pre-celebration of Juneteenth that's on its way. Any other announcements? Seeing none, I will end the announcements, and that will bring us to our second and final public comment of the evening. This is the opportunity, like I mentioned at the top of the meeting, to members of the public to speak on any topic. We asked, a number of people signed up. You don't have to sign up. Start with the list that signed up, and if anybody else who joined didn't sign up, at the end, if you just raise your hand, I'll call you to the mic at the middle portion of the auditorium. When I call on you, if you could come to the podium, keep your comments to 3 minutes. If you could introduce just say your name and community of residence, and then address the commission. We ask that you address your questions to me, the chair, and not to individual commissioners. And the other thing is that this is not really a Q&A, this is an opportunity for the public to share comments, and then commissioners and staff can follow up with individuals if we have your contact information. So with that, let's start. We had a number of people signed up. So I'll start with Farrar, is it Bag? I apologize. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Farah Baig, and I am a longtime resident of the city of Novi. As you know, there have been atrocities, tragedy, and devastation happening in Gaza for quite some time now. We've been working with several Oakland County commissioners to develop a resolution. And we seek your support in bringing this resolution and passing this resolution. I'm going to read the resolution for you now. Resolution supporting humanity, peace, and ceasefires worldwide. Whereas the residents of Oakland County value and uphold principles of humanity, peace, and justice for all individuals, regardless of nationality, race, ethnicity, religion, or background, and whereas the ongoing conflicts and violence around the world, including that which impacts Palestinian and Israeli civilians and their families and communities in Oakland County, result in unimaginable suffering, innocent loss of life, and displacement of communities, undermining the fundamental rights and dignities of individuals affected by these crises, and whereas Oakland County recognizes the importance of promoting peace and ceasefire agreements as essential steps towards resolving conflicts, protecting civilian lives, fostering stability and security, and addressing trauma in the affected regions, and whereas Oakland County calls for the immediate release of all hostages held unjustly or without due process, and calls for respect for human rights and international law in all circumstances. Whereas Oakland County has a proud history of standing in solidarity with oppressed and marginalized communities, as demonstrated by its resolution commemorating Genocide Awareness Month and World Refugee Day, reaffirming its commitment to upholding human rights, dignity, and compassion for all individuals, and whereas Oakland County seeks to create an inclusive and welcoming environment where all residents feel safe, valued, and irrespective of their backgrounds or beliefs, and whereas the residents of Oakland County support efforts to address the root causes of conflicts, promote dialogue, and build bridges of understanding and cooperation among communities, both locally and globally, and now therefore be it resolved that the Oakland County Board of Commissioners hereby expresses its solidarity with individuals and communities affected by conflicts worldwide, particularly Palestinian and Israeli people, and affirms its commitment to supporting initiatives that advance humanity, peace, and ceasefires, And be it further resolved that Oakland County calls upon local, state, national, international leaders to prioritize diplomatic efforts and peace resolutions to conflicts, promote respect for human rights and international law, and work toward the realization of lasting peace and security for all individuals and communities. And we urge that this be adopted immediately. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Mohammed Mubin.
My name is Mohammed Mubin. I am a longtime resident of Bloomfield Hills. As elected officials, all of you have the responsibility to make a choice. Historically, people have grappled with the decision to support humanity versus support other interests. We, as the citizens of Oakland County, request you to make the right choice. Today, the world is grappled with decisions to make, and with the advent of social media, almost everybody is aware of what is going on in the world. We as citizens and you guys as our elected officials have a moral responsibility. It is very easy to clog this issue of ceasefire and be silent and go with the flow. Today, the citizens of America are respected all over the world. It is not because of our wealth, it is not because of our might, it is not because of the people in the past who may have made wrong decisions, but it is because of the men and women of this country made very strong choices. It was not in the monetary interests or political interests, but they were in the interest of humanity. The people who made choices to abolish slavery, the Americans, boys and girls who supported, went from the Northeast and other places to the South to support the voices of pain and suffering. The stripes and stars are respected all over the world because of these sacrifices, because of the guys who gave their life on the beaches of Normandy. Because of these reasons, we are respected all over the world. But we are at a crossroads where the perpetrators of this injustice are clogging the issue, saying that it is in our interest to keep quiet. It is in the national interest to let the world burn. You know, we cannot be happy by having our neighbors' kitchen ransacked so that our children can have a little bit better snacks. We have a moral responsibility to speak up. Today, we are proud of the people who supported all the major decisions in the past. We are not proud of the people who delayed the justice in the past. The slavery would have been abolished long time ago if people like you and me would have spoken. So please make the right choice. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next up is Suhair Ghanem.
Good morning, Oakland County leaders. My name is Suhair Ghanem and I live in Huntington Woods. I hope you had a pleasant morning. I hope you got your drink and maybe something to eat this morning. I hope you watched your children, grandchildren, and children of this community go to school. I hope you saw them smiling and happy. I hope they had a restful night. No airstrikes or bombs had fallen on their heads overnight. I hope the children you know looked well fed. I hope they have no worries about getting a sip of water today. I hope these children you know have shoes on their feet. I hope their homes are still intact and they are not in despair, worried about their families being stuck under the rubble. I hope the children you know still have parents, they still have siblings, still have their toys, their books, and their pets. I really do. You know why? Because there are 1 million vulnerable children in Gaza. This is around the population of Oakland County. These are like the children you know, but these children in Gaza, for the last 8 months, have no schools, not enough food, no clean water, no homes to go to, and some have no family members alive. Some of these children lost a limb in an airstrike, not just for today, but for life. These children have lost a lot, but their biggest loss is their faith in humanity. The double standard on human rights is so glaring. If you were living at the time of slavery or during Jim Crow, which side you would have picked? I wonder if you would have chosen to stand up for what is just, or instead, what is convenient. Remember, the loudest sound is your silence. You are making a statement loud and clear when you choose to stay silent. I get it, it is easy to stand up for your values when it is convenient, but leadership is to stand up for your values when it feels uncomfortable and most challenging. This is upcoming week. You can commemorate Juneteenth and feel good about yourself, but one day your children, grandchildren, and the children of this community will remember the stands you make today. While Wayne and Washington County passed ceasefire resolutions months ago, Oakland County, after 8 months, is still silent. I urge you to call for ceasefire today, not tomorrow, not next week, today. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Farah Ashtiani.
Hello, good morning. My name is Farah Ashtiani. I am a Novi resident. Today, I don't represent any ethnicity, nationality, or religion. I'm only here as a human being and asking my fellow human beings for the resolution to support peace and a ceasefire with the focus to stop armed attacks in the region of the Middle East impacting Palestinians and the Israelis. As an immigrant, I chose to live in the United States of America to raise my children in a country that stands up for humanity, democracy, and fights for human rights globally. The past few months have unfolded a different story in front of our eyes. We have been watching the massacre of thousands of civilians, including children, entire families torn apart or wiped out entirely, and many have their homes destroyed. And though it has been unproportional, extremely unproportional for both the Palestinians and the Israelis, but all while the majority of our leaders of this country that we have chosen as our home supported it, justified it, showed double standards. And now, as we see, we also have boots on the ground supporting these horrific war crimes, and we all have witnessed this in disbelief. While many of us Americans have asked for a stop to this violence, to be supported by our money and our taxes, there will be no peace through violence, and definitely not this level of violence. Against unarmed civilians, how can we justify providing arms that their only function is to destroy and kill, and at the same time be the icon of democracy and supporter of human rights globally? There is no words that can describe what is happening in the Middle East region and the fear, pain, and horror that the people there are going through every second and minute of the day. We are here today and asking to walk the talk and stand up for human rights, equally for everyone, especially for the people of Palestine and Israel. Despite what is being broadcasted, a resolution for a ceasefire does not take the side of any country, government, or ethnicity. It is on the side of peace, of the side of humanity, and valuing life equally for all. It is for creating a safer world for all of us, including Americans, Palestinians, and Israelis. So please support the resolution presented by Mrs. Baig. We want to do the right thing for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Kazi Afzal, followed by Eric Shelley.
Hello, everyone. Oakland County Commissioners and members here. My name is Kazi Afzal, as you mentioned. I'm from Novi as well. I'd like to thank you for your time sitting here and discussing. We are secured here, not worried about getting killed or being injured. But my talking points here focuses on what some of the other speakers also mentioned: basic civil rights issue, human rights issue, security issue. So our neighbors and Oakland County residents who came here today represent a cross-section of various religious backgrounds, cultures, ethnicities, and political leanings. We all were united in seeking peace and standing against discrimination of people of all backgrounds who are affected by this conflict, whether Muslims, Jewish people, Christians, whether Arab or Semitic. The resolution that was read a little while ago here, advocating for a ceasefire and standing against hate and discrimination, represents more than a political statement. It is a reassurance to us, your constituents, that your safety and inclusion are valued. The survey in the US shows majority of the Americans want a ceasefire, and calls are growing. So this resolution represents all of those here in Oakland County desiring safety and peace. There's no time to waste in getting this resolution passed, so please do it today. According to WHO, World Health Organization, more than 10 children have limbs amputated every day in Palestine. UNICEF has numbers. You can all find it online. You don't need to dig more than a few minutes to find the real facts. Even more are expected to die in the Palestinian region because of blockade from bombings, blockade of food, due to bombings, blockade of food, water and medical supplies, and many other life-saving necessities. I urge you as a representative to consider this resolution, and not as a political choice, but as a moral imperative. The decision to support a ceasefire and standing against hate is not just the right thing to do. It is a necessary step forward, ensuring that everyone is safe. I understand that the council is worried about upsetting some voters who would like to see this indiscriminate killing and genocide to continue in the name of self-defense. A leader is able to look through the smoke and make a decisive move supporting the truth. It's not easy to be the right leader. It never was, it never will be. But a real leader, an honest leader, can do that. One would not even need to dig, just go online and find it. It'll take less than 10 minutes. More than 1.5 people are in jeopardy, so please support this resolution and pass it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We got Eric Shelley, followed by Farah Khan.
Good morning, Commissioners. Commissioner Cavell, good to see you. My name is Eric Shelley. I'm a longtime resident of Southfield, also an organizer with Michigan United, statewide organization. Our motto is justice and dignity for all. We were actually slow to get into this fight because we saw it as an international matter, but it also struck at us as a real shock to the conscience because of the horrors that we've seen, the indignities that the Palestinian people have been forced to live under for so long, and now the stark injustice of the murder of innocent civilians. And while this is an incident that's happening far away, it does affect us in Michigan, in Oakland County. We are forced to sit here and watch these horrors helplessly. But there is something that we can do. There is something that you can do. We want to raise our voice and say, this is not right. It must end. And you can speak out for us. You are the voices of the people of Oakland County, and this does affect your constituents. And I urge you today to pass this resolution and speak for us to say this is not right. We will not stand for this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Farah Khan, followed by Rania Mesri.
Esteemed Oakland County Commissioners, good morning.
Morning.
My name is Farah Khan, and I've been an Oakland County resident for the past 17 years. I stand before you today with a heart heavy with sorrow and an urgent plea for action. The recent and ongoing massacres in Gaza, Rafah, and now Nuseirat, where recently 274 innocent lives were brutally taken in the name of freeing 4 hostages, cry out for our immediate and unwavering response. It seems that the Biden's genocidal administration is not satisfied with the colossal tragic loss of Palestinian lives funded by our tax money along with the generous supply of weapons. They now send cavalry, yes, literal boots on ground, to finish the job, as if the horrors unleashed by the Israeli occupation forces with our support alone weren't enough. These atrocities are not just numbers, they are human beings. Children, parents, friends, and loved ones. Their lives, dreams, and futures have been mercilessly shattered. Entire lineages are gone. Family trees completely eradicated. As we bear witness to this human tragedy, we must ask ourselves, what do we stand for? Where do our moral and ethical values lead us? We cannot remain silent while such horrors unfold. Our silence would be counted as complicity and a grave betrayal of the very principles that define our community and our conscience. I urge you, esteemed commissioners, to let your hearts, your humanity lead you. Pass a resolution demanding an immediate ceasefire. Show the world that Oakland County stands for peace, for justice, and for the protection of innocent lives, both in the US and abroad. This resolution is not just a political statement, it's a testament to our collective humanity and our unwavering commitment to ethical values. History will judge us not by the words we speak today, but by the actions we take in the moment of crisis. Let us be on the right side of history. Let us be guided by compassion and empathy and the steadfast commitment to the principle of peace and justice. By passing this ceasefire resolution, we affirm that every life is precious and that the pursuit of peace is a moral obligation we cannot ignore. Let us act now with empathy and resolve to support the innocent and to advocate for a future where such atrocities cease to exist. Please call for a ceasefire. Please pass this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Rania Mesri.
My commissioners, good morning. My name is Rania Masri, and I'm a longtime resident of Farmington Hills. I'm here today to ask you for your full support in passing a resolution representing the majority of Oakland County residents and residents across the country. We need to pass a resolution calling for ceasefire, but some of you may believe that if we wait long enough, it'll happen on its own and we don't need to take action. Israel's former head of the National Security Council described Gaza as a huge concentration camp. This enclave, home to 2.5 million people, half of whom are children, is effectively sealed off from the outside world. On October 9th, the Israeli defense minister announced a complete siege on Gaza, stating they would deny all food, fuel, water, and electricity. He called the Palestinian people human animals. This was broadcast internationally, a clear declaration of intent to enact collective punishment, which is a war crime. A promise to commit ethnic cleansing and an act of genocide, not self-defense. Such action should never be allowed on our watch. but we watched to see what would happen. Some of our community members here in Oakland County have family in Gaza and are witnessing entire bloodlines being eradicated, from the youngest unborn baby to the oldest survivor of the Nakba. They watch in anguish as their relatives flee from one bombed safe zone to another, their houses demolished, starving and eating grass like animals. They listen in horror to stories of limbs being amputated without anesthesia, injured people dying needlessly because basic hospital supplies are denied to them, and people dying slow, painful deaths crushed under the rubble. Our traumatized neighbors and friends are praying for a ceasefire. We have watched the Israeli government explain their intention and then carry it out repeatedly. We've seen safe zones become target zones. We've seen all the so-called accidents. But this week, a UN-backed commission finally ruled that Israel is committing war crimes and crimes against humanity. The facts are clear, yet we continue to watch and wait for a ceasefire. We hope against hope that someone will do something. Commissioners, we cannot continue to watch and hope. When an occupying force is committing ethnic cleansing and genocide, they don't just stop. Without a call for ceasefire, our silence is complicity. We're saying that a child killed in Gaza every 10 minutes is not our problem, and nearly 1 in 64 Gazans dead is not something we can address. It has been 250 days, and every day we don't call for a ceasefire, more innocent civilians are killed, more children's limbs are amputated. 80% of Gaza's population is homeless. Is this an accident? Where's the safe zone? Let's be clear, this isn't about politics and it isn't complicated. It's about humanity. Every day we delay action, more lives are lost. To my commissioners, I urge you to listen to the voices of reason and empathy. Uplift the voices of your county's residents calling for peace and ceasefire. It's time to stop watching and being complicit. Which of you will take action?
Thank you. Next up, we got Mike Flores, followed by Alia Malik.
Buenos dias. Good morning, Commissioners. Feliz Mes del Orgullo. Happy Pride. My name is Mike Flores from the great community of Hazel Park, but I have lived in Ferndale, Royal Oak, and Troy. Thank you for the opportunity to address you today. I stand here on behalf of many concerned residents to urge you to bring forward and vote on a resolution supporting humanity, peace, and ceasefires worldwide. For months, we have engaged in extensive dialogue with a total of 8 commissioners working collaboratively to draft a resolution that reflects the core values of Oakland County. This resolution is a testament to our collective effort. Yet, despite all this work and commitment, it remains stalled. Some of us have been left without a response, feeling as though our voice does not matter and is disregarded. We are here to formally, publicly, and on the record, ask this body to advance and vote on this resolution. We believe that supporting humanity, peace, and ceasefires worldwide is not just a global issue, but one that resonates deeply with the values of our county. Many may argue that this matter is beyond the scope of your responsibilities. But this honorable body has actually passed resolutions that are beyond your scopes of responsibility, that extend beyond the local governance because they reflect our county's values and commitment to being a safe and inclusive community. Such actions help attract the best residents and the best talent to our county. Some of you may be concerned about your next election. Let me provide you with some political coverage. Recently, the U.S. introduced a UN ceasefire resolution that has passed the UN Security Council. Now, this concern about the next political election is one of the flaws of our political system. But hopefully, this provides you enough courage to stand on the right side of history. And those who believe in trickle-down philosophies, this should trickle down to all of you. You may also argue that this issue, I only have a few seconds left. You may also argue that this issue is not a top of mind for Oakland County constituents. I assure you that it is. As an international and interconnected county, Many of us recognize the intersectionality of our lives and our relationships with the rest of the world. This is not a concern for just a few. It is actually a concern of many of this organic community organization with more than 600 members that meets every Saturday at 10 a.m. with a few dozen who come together to talk about Oakland County issues, and this issue is top of mind. In conclusion, I urge you to honor the collaborative efforts that went into drafting this resolution, bring it forward, vote to show that Oakland County stands for humanity, peace, and ceasefires worldwide. Doing so not only reflects the values of our county, but it reflects our commitment that we care about people locally and globally. Gracias, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Alia Malik.
Good morning, my commissioners, administrative staff, and community members. We are at 249 days of the greatest rate of civilians massacred in the 21st century, with Israel slaughtering over 200,000 humans, of which 70% are children and women. 249 days of seeing images of skeletal remains, body parts hanging from bombed apartment buildings or scattered through the streets, decomposed human bodies which are now a source of food for the wandering hungry cats and dogs, brains, intestines, and other vital organs flowing, bodies burned to the crypts and down to their bones because of illegal white phosphorus that was dropped on the civilian population. 249 days in which more than 79,000 tons of bombs, that's twice of what was dropped on World War II combined, unleashed on an area that is geographically the size of Detroit with a population of 2.3 million, half of whom are children, leading to more than 430,000 homes in ruins, 670 mosques and churches desecrated, 459 schools demolished, 332 healthcare facilities destroyed, and entire neighborhoods gone. 249 days of where 140 journalists have been slaughtered, 930 healthcare workers murdered and injured, 17,000 children where one or both parents have been killed, and at least 3,000 children losing their limbs, the largest group of pediatric amputees in history. 249 days since 2 million people have been displaced, where painkillers and anesthesia aren't available for surgeries or for women undergoing C-sections, that's 7 layers of skin, where Israeli soldiers are making mocking videos of their war crimes to post on social media, where starvation, extermination, siege warfare, collective punishment, sexual and other gender-based violence and tortures is used as a weapon of this genocide. This isn't and will never be self-defense. It is genocide, ethnic cleansing with illegal and brutal occupation of 75 years and 249 days. History has always shown that the use of violence, occupation, and killing of innocent civilians rarely achieves the objectives they set out to do. No one is allowed to be silent when children are massacred. So I ask you all then, why is calling for a ceasefire, which is a stop to the slaughter and murder of innocent civilians, so controversial? Why has money, fame, and power overshadowed our primary roles as advocates for humanity? Why can't we have a world that works for all of us? Thank you for listening, and I do hope you do pass the resolution on both sides. I have seen here, I have come here, I have seen how the Republicans and Democrats work so beautifully when they want to get things done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's all that had signed up. If there's anybody else who would like to speak during public comment, if you just raise your hand. Okay, we'll start with the closest to the mic, and I'll work my way that way. If you can just give your name and community of residence, and 3 minutes is yours.
Thank you. My name is Tala DeBoer. I am a resident of Bloomfield Hills, longtime resident of Bloomfield Hills, and I'm also an attorney. I took time off of work to be here today because this is extremely important to me and my community, as you can see with the crowd behind me. I'm also an Arab and a Muslim member of this community of Oakland County. And I noticed that we started with a prayer today. In Islam, we have a duty to fight against oppression. And if you see oppression, you must stop it with your hand And if you cannot stop it with your hand, you must stop it with your tongue. And if you cannot stop it with your tongue, you must hold hate for it in your heart. And that is the weakest form of faith. And at this point, if you have not taken upon yourself to understand what's happening in Gaza, it's of your own willful ignorance. You have a wealth of community members who are happy to educate you, and you have, the internet at your disposal as this genocide is being live streamed. As elected officials, willful ignorance doesn't fly. It's your job to listen, and it's your job to learn. Doctors on the ground are reporting that the death rates we are seeing are only 40% of reality. 3,000 children are at risk of dying from malnutrition, and these are from the direct actions of our government. Now, hearing all of that and hearing everything that everyone has said today about the situation in Gaza, I cannot help but feel a stark contrast to their lives, to mine. The comfort of living in Oakland County, the beautiful Oakland County, where I have access to everything I need, and every day that I wake up in a safe place with food and drink and money and my family around me, I think of everyone in Gaza. And I think of how small of a task it is for you all to just sit here and pass a simple proclamation, and what that could do for people who are in dire situations right now. It's such a small thing. We live such comfortable lives. We have responsibilities that come with these comfortable lives, these privileges, these positions in government. And if you're not using that power and that privilege, then what are you doing here? What are we all doing here? So I urge you to please pass a ceasefire resolution as soon as possible, and know that the voters are watching you, and we will remember, just like history will remember. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Who's next? You, and yes.
Sorry, I promise I did sign in. I'm not sure what happened. Oh. My name is Angela Lepard, and I've been a resident of Ferndale for over 19 years. And if you'll excuse me, my mental and emotional health has been taking a hit lately. So I decided to share something that I shared on my social media. Whether you look like Renisha McBride, Trayvon Martin, or Eric Gardner, whether you look like the children in Gaza, whether you look like the children at our southern border, whether you look like Matthew Shepard, or you look like Coco Williams, a Black trans woman who was murdered. Your life has meaning, and your dignity should not be forgotten. I pray we see value in all life, not just in those that act, look like, and think like ourselves. And I apologize, I know that sounds a little preachy. I did write it the day after I was ordained a deacon, and that was August 7th, 2014. I wrote that a decade ago. And so when I say my mental and emotional health has taken a hit, it's because I'm tired of talking to people about why vulnerable and marginalized people should matter. I'm tired of talking about how our liberation and our humanity is connected. I am tired of talking about why my tax dollars should not be killing the people of Palestine. I'm tired of seeing children in Gaza showing leftover weapons with USA written on it because they were weapons made here. I'm tired. My emotional and mental health has taken a beating, and I know I'm not alone. I don't mean to center myself, but I want you to know it hits home. As somebody who is Indigenous, I can speak to generational trauma. I can speak to what kind of secondhand trauma people are going to be facing, and this is why you want to pass a resolution. because it does impact people here. I know it's not popular, but as I like to remind people, Martin Luther King didn't die of old age. He was not popular. Nelson Mandela served. One of my own tribal heroes was basically a guerrilla warfare person against the Confederate Army. I'm not asking you to do any of that. I'm just asking you to pass a resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. First, this gentleman, then you.
Good morning. My name is Amrit Kohli, and I'm a Ferndale resident. I grew up here in Oakland County. I've been here a long time, most of my life, actually. And I'm really shocked that we were still standing here asking for a ceasefire resolution from all of you. It's this war, this genocide in Gaza has been going on for very, very long. It's not just the last 6 months. It's been going on since the 1940s, since the United Nations decided to create Israel in the middle of this land that all the people, all the nations of that land, all the nations in that area did not vote for this resolution that created Israel. So it's incumbent upon you, and I came to this country as a refugee from Africa. And I came to this county to live because my parents came here because it was a good county to live, and it was a county where I could get a good education. But I can tell you that I'm very disappointed in the country that I've come to because it is just as violent, if not more violent, and just as much as a supporting of genocide as the people that I left in Africa. And it's really incumbent upon you to do something about that and to say something and stand up and be leaders in a community that is confused and completely lost about and in misinformation about what this conflict and this genocide is really about. It is about exterminating the Palestinian people. And that is something the United States has gotten behind. That is something that Joe Biden is going to lose this election for because of. And I'm telling you that we're going to have Trump in office because of that. Maybe some of you are happy about that. But that's because Joe Biden has supported this genocide since the beginning. And he still hasn't come up with anything that's really useful in terms of stopping the genocide. So it's up to you, all of you, to lead this community and get us out of this situation and help stand up for something that actually means something about people's lives and humanity. So I'm urging you to now please pass a ceasefire resolution. I actually tried to have a concert at a local community center in Ferndale, and it was approved, and I was ready to go, and I was going to have this Juneteenth celebration and ceasefire event. That, just because I put ceasefire on the flyer, they canceled my event. That is the kind of hysteria that is going on in Oakland County. That is the kind of hysteria that you need to stand up against. And that is the kind of leadership that you need to take upon yourselves to guide people away from that kind of hysteria. That is your responsibility. I've been pushed out onto the street to have my concert because I support a ceasefire, a peaceful event, something that actually means peace. The word ceasefire is so offensive now. How has that happened? How has that happened? The only way you can undo that is to pass a ceasefire resolution that reclaims that word and says what it means, which is peace, and to stop the genocide that is going on in Gaza today. I urge you to pass that ceasefire resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi,
Welcome.
good morning. I do think one of the sign-up sheets got misplaced, but
okay.
my name's David Finkel. I'm with Jewish Voice for Peace. I came here this morning from Detroit. Thanks for your time. I want to say a few words about why this discussion actually matters. We're not just venting or speechifying here. The situation in Gaza is beyond catastrophic in terms of the destruction, the famine, the epidemics, all of it. Now, right now, the fate of at least tens of thousands of people, the future of the next 2 generations, and the urgency of preventing a possible total all-out regional war, which nobody wants but could happen by miscalculation, accident, whatever, depends right now on getting a ceasefire. Now, as you know, the United States, and I have to say very, very late in the day, very, very late, put a resolution to the UN Security Council that passed. very peculiar situation that the United States government has said this ceasefire resolution is the Israeli proposal. But the government of Israel has not said that. The government of Israel is not saying anything one way or the other. It is very, very clear that only total pressure from the United States government, including the threat of arms embargo, which should happen anyway, only that kind of pressure and insistence from the United States will prevail on Israel to say, yes, we actually support this ceasefire resolution. Now, one of the many lessons of the last 8 months is that what pushes the United States government, although much too late and much too weakly, towards promoting a ceasefire is pressure from the American grassroots. Whether it was the uncommitted votes, whether it was all the resolutions that are going through dozens, if not hundreds, of community unions and so forth all over the country, the student encampments, all of those things are what has actually moved the needle to pressure the United States government, much too late in the day, to force Israel to stop the genocide and now to impel Israel to actually accept the ceasefire that the United States has put forward in its name. That's why this matters. That's why what this community leadership says and what the leadership of other communities around the country does makes a difference. So act now before it's too late.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Heidi West, and I live in Ferndale. I'm a suburban mom, lifetime voter, and precinct delegate here in Oakland County, a teacher, PTA member, and a descendant of Ashkenazi Jewish heritage. And I believe in never again for anyone. As of right now, Ferndale is still the only city in Oakland County to pass a ceasefire proclamation. I'm here today to ask you to put on the agenda for the people to support a ceasefire resolution. Many others today have talked about the death and destruction of this happening in Gaza before our very eyes, and this is all a tragedy. And for 8 months, you all have known this. So again, I'm here to also talk on a practical level as well. We have tried to no avail in Troy, Hazel Park, Farmington Hills, and others to pass a ceasefire resolution, so that is why we come to you all today. We know that right now over 70% of Democrats support a ceasefire. We know that Oakland County is now finally majority Democrat, and as of now, Wayne and Washtenaw County have also passed a ceasefire resolution supporting the voice of their communities, yet this county has not put it on the agenda. Why not? What are you afraid of? Let's be clear, we know this county has a sad history of racism, and as we approach Juneteenth, we are making progress. But now is the opportunity to prove that we have made even more progress and support all of our residents, including our Palestinian, Arab, and Muslim residents that are overwhelmingly asking for a ceasefire. Furthermore, our resolution in Ferndale was passed because of the overwhelming support of anti-Zionist Jewish residents, and I'm sure the same could be said in Oakland County as well. Our own president, yes, late, but is saying that he's now pushing for a ceasefire, and we all know he needs Michigan votes. And passing a resolution in Oakland County will show that we believe in democracy. It will be so important showing Joe Biden that Michigan will vote for him when he does the same and uses his power to truly demand a ceasefire and end this genocide. He did this before, he still has the power to do it, but he doesn't think he needs to. This state had hundreds and thousands of uncommitted votes, over 30% in a few weeks of organizing. Be the reason that many of our residents decide to vote for democracy and show him that Michigan suburban moms like myself, the voters he needs, live in a county that supports a ceasefire. Follow the world and do the right thing. Remember, they called Nelson Mandela, a freedom fighter against apartheid in South Africa, a terrorist when he was fighting against apartheid. But now history celebrates him. Be on the right side of history, Oakland County, and stand for a ceasefire. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And those who said they signed up, they did. It slipped on under the chair, and so I have it here, but please just come to the podium.
Hi.
Welcome.
As a Palestinian American born and raised in Palestine under occupation, I'm surprised everyone here asking for ceasefire when it's a reality to ask for free Palestine. Palestine under occupation for 75 years is not 225 days. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak?
Hello, my name is Hank Kennedy. I am a resident of Hazel Park. I have spoken my own words at many of these meetings in Hazel Park and Ferndale, so today I would like to read something from one of my favorite writers, the Uruguayan writer Eduardo Galeano. To justify itself, state terrorism creates terrorists. It sows hatreds and harvests alibis. Everything indicates that the bloodbath in Gaza, which its creators claim was designed to eliminate terrorists, will result in a proliferation of them. Since 1948, Palestinians have lived in perpetual humiliation. They can't breathe without permission. They have lost their country, their land, their water, their freedom, their everything. Little of Palestine remains. Bit by bit, Israel is erasing it from the map. The settlers invade, accompanied by soldiers who correct the borders as they go. Bullets sanctify the pillage in legitimate defense. There is no war of aggression that doesn't claim to be a defensive war. Hitler invaded Poland to prevent Poland from invading Germany. Bush invaded Iraq to keep Iraq from invading the world. In each of its defensive wars, Israel swallows up another piece of Palestine, and the snacking continues. Israel is the country that has never complied with UN resolutions or recommendations, never abides by judgments of international courts, and mocks international law. It is also the only country that has legalized the torture of prisoners. What gives them the right to deny the rights to others? Who is granting them the impunity with which they are carrying out the slaughter of Gaza? The Spanish government couldn't bomb the Basque region to wipe out ETA, or Britain invade Ireland to liquidate the IRA with impunity. Is it the all-powerful US that gave the green light and has in Israel the most unfailing of vassals? The Israeli army, the most sophisticated and modern in the world, knows whom to kill. It doesn't kill by error, it kills for horror. The civilian victims are referred to as collateral damage, according to the dictionary. In Gaza, 3 of every 10 instances of collateral damage are children. Then there are the thousands of wounded and disabled, victims of the technology of human butchery that the military industry is successfully applying in this operation of ethnic cleansing. And what I've read should shock you and it should horrify you. But what is even more shocking and horrifying is that Galeano wrote these words 15 years ago, and the situation has only changed since then for the worse. I encourage you to vote for the ceasefire proclamation that was read earlier. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else that would like to speak during public comment?
Thank you for your time. My name is Rakea Ali, and I am an Oxford parent. My son is an Oxford school shooting survivor. And I'm here to tell you that I have lived now for the last couple of years with the effect of gun violence on my community and on my child. So it's especially triggering for me to see images of children being blown up, schools being destroyed in Palestine. I was especially triggered by a video of a young kid who had to pull his headless classmate's body out of his school. That should never have had to happen. I have been in this county courthouse in March, and I watched the trial of the parents of the Oxford school shooter. And I saw that our jury found both parents guilty. Why? They didn't pull the trigger because we recognized that the actions of the shooter did not happen in a vacuum, that there were people who could have stopped the massacre that happened in my son's school and were responsible and did nothing. And the county found these people guilty. Similarly, what's happening in Gaza is not happening in a vacuum. And I'm speaking about the United States of America, support of the violence in Israel is not and shouldn't happen. And I'm asking you to stand with the American people. A recent poll conducted by the Institute of Social Policy and Understanding showed that the majority of Americans want a ceasefire. So if you stand with the American people and call for and support a ceasefire resolution, then you're standing with the American people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else that would like to speak during public comment? Seeing none. Anybody else? Nope. Seeing none. Okay, we will close the second public comment, and that brings us to the end of today's meeting, where we will stand adjourned till July 18th, 2024, or call the chair. Thank you, everyone.